What is good, y'all? Welcome back to the Pro. Welcome back to a brand new video. We are here. We are back. And listen, man, it is that time. It is playoff basketball time. We are at that stage where everything matters. It's winner, go home. You know what I'm saying? It's playoff series locking in. Last night were great games. Lakers game was one-sided, but the Clippers game was really good. I thought the Pistons game was pretty good. So listen. Hopefully, tonight's game is good for the Heat, but we're going to be previewing the series a little bit here. We're going to be just talking about what we can expect. Obviously, the Cavs are historically one of the best teams in NBA history. You know, they ran away with the Eastern Conference this season. They have one of the best records in the NBA. They had a legitimate case to have 4 All-Star players this season, and all around, they were just one of the best. I mean, behind OKC, they were probably the best team in the NBA this season by far. So it's going to be a big test for Miami. Miami is an 8 seed who were a 10 seed in the regular season. They obviously took the hard way, made their way into the playoffs, but the Cavs should be favored as they are because of how good they are. But the beauty is, if you're Miami, you don't really care about the odds, you know. Miami has the biggest advantage here is that they're just playing with house money. No one's really caring about, picking them. The Cavs have all the expectations. They have all the pressure. They're number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They're playing against an 8 seed. Miami, if they lose the series, they're not going to be, under huge pressure or a huge amount of criticism because it's like they weren't expected to win, which is why they're a dangerous team, especially a Heat team that has Eric Spoelstra. You can never count them out. So they're playing with extreme house money. They're playing with no expectations. They're just playing. And I think that's when the Heat are at their best, when they're actually counted out. I feel like when the Heat have expectations, they can let you down. But when the Heat are underdogs and when the Heat are counted out, as we've seen in the past few seasons, that's when they kind of usually play their best because no one's really expecting them. There's not really much noise around this team right now. No one's really, picking them or anything like that. It's not at all the case. So I actually like that for the Heat because, even me as a Heat fan, I'm skeptical as to whether we can win the series or not. But if we do, I'll be the most obviously ecstatic person in the world. But the Cavs are a really good team, and we're here to just talk about some of the weaknesses that they can have that we can try to exploit, and we're going to talk about some of the keys to the series. Now, number one, the biggest question for me is whether Davion Mitchell starts or not, because obviously Spoelstra has been going with Alec Burks in the backcourt next to Tyler Hero. Miami has been a team, Spo has been a coach where if a lineup is working, he's not going to fix it. He's not going to try to change much. So I don't expect the starting lineup to change, but I think Davion Mitchell should start. And the reason is of not only because of how he's playing, but I do feel like matchup purposes, defensive purposes, I feel like Davion Mitchell can be really big this series. They have 2 guards over there in Cleveland that really, really can score the ball. They have Donovan, they have Garland. So listen, these guys are bona fide stars, and I'm a little bit worried if we start Hero and Burks because it's like, who's gonna guard the 2? Because obviously you're probably gonna put Wiggins on one, but it's like, who are you gonna put on the other one? You're gonna put Bam on the other one, but you can't do that because unlike the Hawks and unlike the Bulls, the Cavs have 2 legitimate bigs on their team. So it's gonna be interesting. It's like, can the Miami Heat, how will they match up? And I think that's why starting Davion Mitchell against this team is really big for you, because you don't have to use one of your wings / forwards on the guards. You can use one of them. You don't have to use both of them. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like you can have Wiggins on one, you can have Mitchell on the other, and then you can have Hero checking Max Strus and just making sure he's not getting any open looks, just running him off the line. And then obviously you have Bam and Khalil both on their 2 bigs over there. I feel like that's probably the best way that he can match up with them defensively, because offensively this is a really good team. They shoot the ball really well. They're number 2 in the NBA in 3-point percentage. Historically, they're a great offense. They're the best scoring team in the NBA. So if you want to slow them down, it all starts with those 2 guards because they are the focal point of their offense. They obviously have 2 guys who can catch lobs. Evan Mobley has improved his offensive game where he can shoot the mid-range jump shot, shoot the three-point shot a little bit, but you're really worried about their two guards being really big factors. And that's why I think you need Davion Mitchell in there, because he can slow down at least one of them. Yeah, I would start Davion. I know Spoelstra's probably not going to start off the series with Davion starting, but I feel like as the series goes on, it's probably going to be like more needed for Davion Mitchell to be starting, because even though Alec Burks' fit in the starting lineup has been pretty good offensively, I feel like for defensive purposes, you need to kind of slow down the Cavs here, because their offensive game is ridiculously good. And Davion also gives you like a guy who can set the table as a point guard for you offensively as well. So he's a good passer. Might not be the shooter of Alec Burks' caliber, but can definitely take ball handling duties off of Tyler Hero's plate a little bit, and then give Tyler Hero some a breather sometimes offensively. He doesn't have to handle the ball as much. He doesn't have to be hounded by defenders left, right, because that's another thing. If Tyler Hero is the only ball handler in your starting lineup, obviously Bam can handle the ball as a forward, but Hero is usually the guy who initiates the offense for Miami most of the time, with Alec Burks being in that lineup next to him. The Cavs are going to throw everything they can at him, because, their philosophy is going to be, if we can slow him down, then there's not really much they can do offensively. So Davion Mitchell handling the ball a little bit is going to be good for Miami's offense as well. So I would start Davion. I think that's the biggest thing that I would say, like, is the biggest question to me is, will Spoelstra go back to Alec Burks, or will he start Davion Mitchell specifically for this matchup against Cleveland? A couple of other things about Cleveland I do want to say is that defensively, I think they're a good team, especially because they have two bigs down low. Similar to Miami, I feel like they can really clean up stuff in the paint, but defensively on the perimeter, I think they can be exploited a little bit. They have two guards who are really small. Donovan Mitchell is 6'3" max probably. I wouldn't even give him 6'3", but if you want to give him 6'3", I think that's probably the max height I'll probably give him. Darius Garland, you can argue, is 6 feet or under. Like, he's a really small guard. So they have two really small guards in their starting lineup. I think defensively you can exploit that. Usually small guards come playoff time don't really do the best on the defensive end, especially if you're starting two of them. Max Strus, we know Max is a guy from his time in Miami. Max will compete on that end, but I think Max can also be a guy that if you can switch Strus on Hero, I wouldn't be mad at it. I think Hero can definitely take him, especially knowing Strus and how he competes. I feel like Hero can definitely take him. So I do think that defensively the Cavs can be exploited on the perimeter. Now, when it comes in the down low in the paint, it's going to be tough, because they have two guys who can definitely block shots. Defensive Player of the Year candidate Evan Mobley, probably going to win the award. So you have that in the paint. They're a really good defense. But on the perimeter, I think they can be exploited a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I think you can get at them. So I will definitely say if you're Miami, you want to be involving Mitchell or Garland in every screen. You want to be switching them onto whoever is ISOing, Wiggins, Bam, Hero. Like, you definitely want to have either one of those two, on your scores at all times. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would do if I was Miami. I would definitely want to have those two small guards isolated on any of our scorers. And the biggest, I guess not the biggest, but the third thing I would say as an X factor to this series is the bench. I feel like the bench is really, really big, especially for Miami, because the Cavs have a couple of guys on their bench who can really score the ball. Ty Jerome, I mean, he's a guy who's, if he was eligible for the games played, I think he could win one of these Most Improved or Sixth Man of the Year awards. But whether it's Ty Jerome, they have Dean Wade off their bench. They have Isaac Okoro off their bench. But I think DeAndre Hunter, he is probably, along with Ty Jerome, their best bench piece. I feel like their bench is really good, the Cavs. They have a very deep bench. They don't have a backup center. That's probably what they really lack. But they have a really good bench, man. I mean, I like their bench a lot. DeAndre Hunter, Ty Jerome, Dean Wade, Isaac Okoro, Sam Merrill will come in there and shoot the ball. Like, they got a good bench. I mean, even Craig Porter Jr., who year previously, not last year, but not this year, but the year previous to this year, was actually really good for them. So you're gonna have to match that if you're Miami, and whoever it is between Burks and Davion, between those two, obviously, and then you have Duncan Robinson coming in. You have Haywood Highsmith coming in, and then obviously we'll see the statuses of Pella and Jovic. They've had a few days now since they've been back, so if they can be ready, I mean, Pella Larson, I feel like would be a great piece in this series, especially on the defensive end. I feel like he competes on that end. I like Kyle Anderson with his inbounding and passing ability in this series as well. Nikola Jovic is a big X factor because if he can play to his potential, I mean, the way he's capable of playing, I mean, you have all of a sudden another guy who can score at least 10 points for you off your bench. So Heat bench is going to be really, really big. They have a lot of, like, not question marks, but like people who you're not sure like what the case is going to be for them. But I mean, if it all works out and if it all gels, I mean, it's going to be a really, really good series for the bench. So that is my third, I guess, X factor point. And my last one before I wrap up the video is the shooting of Miami. I mean, you guys, who's ever watched my videos for the past, how many ever years, you guys will know that I've stressed that when we are playing against these good teams, against teams that are talent-wise better than us, Miami, if they make their three-point shots, can keep up with anybody. That is the biggest X factor. The three-point shooting of Miami is going to be key. If Miami is missing their threes, it is going to be absolutely, like, almost near impossible to beat this Cavs team. Because if they are shooting poorly from three, Miami's offense is terrible. Because the offense is not Miami's strong suit, it's the defense. They're ninth, they're top 10 defensively. Offensively, they're bottom 10. So you need Miami to have a good shooting series if you want to have a chance to win some of these games here. Because if they don't, it's going to be really, really tough for you. Because Miami doesn't have the offensive talent that Cleveland does. They have Tyler Hero, who's an all-star, and Bam Adebayo, who's an all-star, all-NBA caliber player. But that's really about it. Wiggins is question mark sometimes. I mean, sometimes he can be good, sometimes not. But again, they don't have the firepower that the Cavs do. You know what I'm saying? The Cavs have a lot more firepower offensively. So even if they're not having like good shooting nights, you can have guys bail you out constantly. But the Heat don't really have the guys to do that on your team. So you're going to need to have guys like Duncan Robinson, guys like a lot of these people, you know what I'm saying? Duncan Robinson, Hero, you're going to need to have a good shooting series. Davion Mitchell, Alec Burks, Andrew Wiggins. I think the series is going to be huge for Andrew Wiggins because we haven't faced the Cavs with Andrew Wiggins once this season. So, yeah, I mean, that's going to be one of the biggest things is that can the Miami Heat shoot the ball well from three? Because if they do, I feel like they can beat anybody if the Miami Heat shoot the ball well from three. I feel like if they shoot well from three, watch out. So that is kind of like my preview for this Cavs series. I said a lot. There's a lot to kind of take away. We'll see what happens. I mean, we'll see what the lineup that Spoelstra goes with is, and we'll see how it fares. But listen, I'm super excited, man. Regardless of whether we win or lose, I just want to say it's been a really fun season. Obviously, it's been very up and down, but I'm glad that we're playing for something. So I wasn't ready for Heat basketball to end, and not having to watch Heat basketball till October. It's going to be tough. So if it's 4 more games, if it's 5 more games, if it's 6 more games, who cares? Like, I just want to watch my team play. And they are playing. So, whether we play well or not as fans, I mean, I think we should just kind of watch for the development of some of these players for next season because I don't think, a lot of people are going to be giving us much of a chance. But who knows, man? It's the playoffs. Anything can happen. Go out there and shock the world if you're Miami. So, listen, we're going to wrap it up here. Make sure y'all drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. If y'all are going to be going to those games in Miami, game 3 and 4, please wear white. We're going to be dressing up in all white. We're going to be showing out over there in all white. Okay, we need that stadium packed with white hot Heat gear. So please wear white. Show out, man. We need that Heat crowd to be, a lot of people have been pointing and making fun of our crowd. We need that crowd to be on point. So please, if you're Miami, you need to show out. And if you're the fans of Miami, you need to show up, man, because that's what we're gonna need. So listen, we're gonna wrap it up here. Leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let's go Heat, man, as always. And let's see if we can shock the world this series. Peace.